What's going on, guys? Welcome to the Cowboys Beat. And on today's video, we're going to be talking about a unit that I don't think people have talked enough about this offseason and I think could be very underrated, and that is the linebacker unit. But before we get into the video, if you guys haven't already, please make sure to like this video and make sure to subscribe as well. I would greatly appreciate that. Let's try and get this video to 20 likes. That's the goal for the video. So let's try and achieve that goal. But without further ado, let's get in the video. The linebacker room was a hindrance for the Cowboys last season, and I think that it has improved this season with the acquisition of Eric Kendricks, who I thought played very well with the Los Angeles Chargers last season. Marist Liufau from Notre Dame, a prospect that I'm excited about, and it seems like the team's excited about as well. And with the return of DeMarvion Overshown to go along with Damone Clark, who's already in the room, who isn't a superstar. He's not some all-pro type of player, but as a depth piece, as a weak side linebacker, I actually think that Damone Clark is going to be completely fine in that role. I think the thing with Damone Clark is this. They asked him to play a lot of Mike linebacker last year due to the fact that they just ran out of linebackers, and I don't think that's his natural position. You saw that there was a lack of confidence when he was shooting those gaps and trying to make plays on the ball carrier, and when it comes to the linebacker position, one thing you don't want to be is not confident. You know what I'm saying? You don't want to struggle with confidence in that role, right? Because when you're getting downhill, you're shooting a gap and you're trying to stand up a running back, it does make a difference when you know your assignment, you know, all right, this is the gap I have to go through. I'm going to go through this gap at 110% compared to, I think this is my gap and I'm going to go in there and I'm going to try and make a hit on the ball carrier. It's just, when you look at the position, it's way more better to be confident. And that's with every position, but I think the linebacker position more so due to the fact that it is kind of like the quarterback of the defense. So there's that. I do think that Damone Clark as a weak side linebacker, you know, feeding off of Eric Kendricks and Marist Liufau will be much better this year. And I think as a depth piece, I'm not saying he's going to be an all-pro. I'm not saying that whatsoever. But I think as a depth piece, I think he'll be fine in this linebacker room. Now, with the acquisitions of Eric Kendricks, one thing that I like about this acquisition is his rapport with Mike Zimmer, right? He understands this defense. He knows where guys need to be. He knows his responsibilities, and he can teach those around him about this defense. And I think that's going to be critical for the Cowboys this upcoming season. And also, he's a gigantic upgrade from what you had last year. Again, Damone Clark as a Mike linebacker, to me, is just not a very good player. He's just painfully mediocre. And I think that now that you have an upgrade to the level that you have, granted, Eric Kendricks isn't like this great linebacker still, but he's a good player at a position that you weren't very good at last year. I expect that there's going to be better play from that position based solely because of that. And look, when we talk about the linebackers from last season, your linebackers were Damone Clark and Marquise Bell. Respect to Marquise Bell for playing the linebacker position, and I don't think this is any disrespect when I say this, but he's not a linebacker, and he's being asked to play linebacker. It was a difficult task for him, and I think smart teams really attacked that part of the Cowboys defense. They said, we are going to isolate Marquise Bell and we're going to make sure that, he feels us, that we're running at him and he's got to make plays on the ball carrier. I think that was a very smart thing that offensive coordinators who decided to take advantage of that would take advantage of. I mean, you heard Jordan Love on Micah Parsons' podcast saying, hey, you guys had a defensive back and linebacker. We were going at that all game. Okay. So, when it comes to the safety position, though, like when you talk about big nickel and playing guys in the box, I actually do expect that Mike Zimmer will play guys in the box more often when it comes to the safety position and really embrace that big nickel that the Cowboys have done a very good job with over the past few seasons, because I think Mike Zimmer is going to look at this defense and say, okay, I have good players on this team that I don't believe are being utilized, and that is Donovan Wilson and Marquise Bell. If, he's going to run the same defense that he's always run, I believe that he's going to embrace the big nickel. And I think you're going to see that next season more so than you've seen in Zimmer defenses in the past. So far this video, we've hit on Eric Kendricks and where I think the linebacker room struggled last year, and Damone Clark. Two other guys I want to hit on. Marist Liufau. You hear really good things coming out of the Cowboys camp about Marist Liufau. When a guy like Mike Zimmer talks about Maris Leofau being brilliant, that's not something you should just look past. Mike Zimmer has been around for a very, very long time. He knows what brilliant linebackers look like. He knows what linebackers that can play look like. And when a guy like that is campaigning for a guy like Maris Leofau in the way that he's campaigning for him, I'm going to think that there's, some fire to that smoke. And I think that Maris Leofau, year one, is going to come in, and I think he's going to be a very good player for this defense right off the bat. I believe that Maris Leofau can make the all-rookie team. And especially if you're going to keep Mike Zimmer around past this year, which is not a guarantee, I believe that bringing in a guy like Maris Leofau is going to be great for this team, because I'm always big on, you got to have a good Mike linebacker if you want to be a great defense. If you want to be a great defense, you have to have a good Mike linebacker, because there's so much communication that comes out of that position. And when you have a great defense, communication is key. Like, that is key. All great defenses have that. And when it comes to the Mike linebacker position, that is the position where you're dealing with that the most. So them drafting Maris Leofau over, let's just say, a running back, to me, I was on board with that, because, if this group is willing, if this, scouting department and this coaching staff is willing to, put their neck out there and say, hey, this is the position we want to target, and we really like this player, and we want to go forward with this, I'm all fine with that. So the last guy that I want to touch on here before I end this video is DeMarvion Overshown. To me, I believe that Maris Leofau and DeMarvion Overshown in the future for this team, that's going to be a great pairing, right? I look at DeMarvion Overshown as like a Dre Greenlaw type of linebacker. He's a guy who's going to get downhill. He might guess at times when it comes to attacking gaps, but the thing is, when he gets downhill and decides, okay, I'm going to shoot this gap and hit this ball carrier, he's going to stand up that ball carrier. And one thing coming off that ACL that I think helped DeMarvion Overshown is he was building his upper body up, right? And that's something, when you tear your ACL, you can't really use your legs to that extent, right? So if you're going to work out, a lot of that's going to be upper body. And I think that DeMarvion Overshown took advantage of the time that he had off and really built that upper body up. I think you're going to get a stronger player this year. And again, if he was healthy, he would have been your best linebacker last year. I truly believe that. And now I think that he's on this team with a guy like Eric Kendricks, who is so cerebral, who understands the game at such a high level. I think playing alongside of him will make DeMarvion Overshown even better than maybe we originally would have thought that he would have been. So that's why I believe that this linebacker room is underrated. I really like a lot of the young talent they have. I like the acquisition of Eric Kendricks, and I do think that, I get it. Safeties and linebackers are two different positions, but I think touching on the big nickel and having, safeties play in the box, which I expect to see more often, like I said, more often than a Mike Zimmer defense would have, I think that's going to help this defense out, especially when it comes to run defense. I actually expect that this run defense will be better than it was last year, which might sound crazy because we lost Jonathan Hankins and our defensive line isn't as good, at least on the interior. But I think that this linebacker room is going to help the run defense out big time. So that's going to be it for the video, though, guys. Make sure to hit that like button and subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next video.